Selamat pagi Ibu dan Bapak sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, semoga semua makhluk berbahagia. Ibu dan Bapak sekalian, kita ada di dalam acara di sesi yang kita beri judul Perempuan Tangguh Krisis Iklim dalam Keluarga. Di sini sudah hadir 4 orang pembicara yang sangat menarik dengan topik-topik yang sangat menarik. Kita akan bicara tentang perempuan tangguh, tapi juga kita bicara tentang bagaimana kita mengarus utamakan gender dalam energi. Kenapa sih kita perlu bicara gender dalam energi? Karena memang energi itu punya banyak kepentingan dan potensi untuk mentransformasi perempuan dan laki-laki sehingga mereka bisa berdaya dan lebih setara. Sebaliknya juga, perempuan dan laki-laki sama-sama memiliki peran yang sangat signifikan dan sangat penting dalam mentransformasi energi di dalam pembangunan kita. Kita tahu bahwa selama ini ada banyak gap atau pembedaan-pembedaan yang terjadi di antara perempuan dan laki-laki sehingga antara perempuan dan laki-laki terjadi pembedaan dalam hal akses, partisipasi, kontrol, kuasa, pengambilan keputusan yang terkait dengan energi, terutama energi terbarukan kalau kita bicara dalam hal ini biogas. Nah, kesenjangan-kesenjangan ini menyebabkan juga terjadi perbedaan di dalam pemanfaatan dan hal-hal tersebut. Pada akhirnya kita memiliki beberapa intervensi, program-program untuk membuat bagaimana kesenjangan itu semakin kecil. Dan kita bisa tahu dari banyak hasil penelitian dan dari intervensi yang dilakukan di banyak tempat oleh banyak pihak, ketika energi dan energi terbarukan ini melibatkan perempuan dan laki-laki secara setara, memberdayakan mereka secara setara, maka manfaatnya itu tidak hanya dirasakan oleh perempuan saja, tapi juga pada keluarga, komunitas, dan pada bangsa ini secara keseluruhan. Nah, supaya tidak berpanjang lebar, kita akan mendengarkan banyak sekali topik yang menarik. Di sini sudah hadir empat pembicara kita yang beraneka ragam latar belakangnya, mulai dari Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak, ada dari para pendamping di lapangan, dan ada para praktisi, ada dari CPO, dan kita di sini juga hadir dari daerah Sumba, Sulawesi Selatan, dan Jawa Timur. Kita akan mendengarkan topik yang pertama, yaitu overview kesetaraan gender adalah perencana Madya Asdepan PUG, pengarus utamaan gender, bidang ekonomi, Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak. Pak Sony, demikian panggilannya, akan menceritakan kepada kita bagaimana kementerian dalam hal ini mengintegrasikan gender di dalam sektor energi terbarukan, termasuk tantangannya yang dihadapi serta inisiatif-inisiatif yang sudah dilakukan. Silakan Pak Sony, 20 menit ke depan, silakan memaparkan presentasinya sebagai pemantik diskusi.
Baik, terima kasih Bu Intan. Sebelumnya Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sehat, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji dan syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa taala, Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa yang telah melimpahkan rahmat dan hidayahnya kepada kita semua sehingga kita dapat hadir di sini dalam sesi diskusi perempuan tangguh hadapi krisis iklim dalam keluarga dalam keadaan sehat walafiat walaupun masih dalam situasi pandemi COVID-19. Sesuai yang diamanatkan kepada kami akan memaparkan overview kesetaraan gender dan pemberdayaan perempuan di Indonesia. Kita mungkin mulai slide yang pertama, mungkin. Ya, kalau kita lihat dari tema prioritas pengurus-tamaan dan kaidah RPJMN 2020-2024, ini lihat dari tema RPJMN yang keempat tahun 2020-2024, yaitu Indonesia berpenghasilan menengah tinggi yang sejahtera, adil, dan berkesinambungan. Dilihat ada 7 prioritas nasional dalam RPJMN, yaitu memperkuat ketahanan ekonomi untuk pertumbuhan yang berkualitas, mengembangkan wilayah untuk mengurangi kesenjangan dan menjamin pemerataan. Yang ketiga, meningkatkan sumber daya manusia. Nah, sumber daya manusia ini terdiri laki-laki dan perempuan yang berkualitas dan berdaya saing. Yang keempat, revolusi mental dan pembangunan kebudayaan. Yang kelima, memperkuat infrastruktur, mendukung pengembangan ekonomi dan pelayanan dasar. Keenam, membangun lingkungan hidup, meningkatkan ketahanan bencana dan perubahan iklim. Yang ketujuh, memperkuat stabilitas Polhukam dan transformasi pelayanan publik. Dalam RPJMN ini juga ada 4 pangurus-tamaan. Nah, 4 pangurus-tamaan ini salah satunya adalah gender, kemudian ada pangurus-tamaan tujuan pembangunan berkelanjutan, model sosial dan budaya, serta transformasi digital. Dan kaidah pembangunan RPJMN 2020-2024 yaitu adalah membangun kemandirian, menjamin keadilan, dan menjaga keberlanjutan. Pada slide berikutnya, mohon maaf.
Sustainability.
Ya, kalau kita lihat di sini juga ada.
So we have target mapping of 3 DGs, and we have 169 target. And for national development pillar, gender is included in the 5th target. And target sustainability and 12 indicators that are related to gender. And apart from, we have development economy pillar, law, and governance. Next slide. So one of the SDG goals, the 7th one, is clean energy and affordable, and to ensure the access to energy that modern and clean for everyone. And on 2030, to ensure there are universal access to the affordable energy, modern and dependable. And on 2030, to increase the substantive, the new energy proportion. And on 2030 is to increase the efficiency of energy. Next slide. So as you can see that this is the gender index development. It consists of human development, both men and women, in 34 provinces in Indonesia in 2019. and the area is the highest one is Yogyakarta and the lowest one is Papua. So the index is achieved 91.07%. This is basically increased 0.08%, 0.8% compared to 2018 and 2017. There are national gender, because on national there are 91.7, and also there are 19 provinces with the index gender development is still below the average, the national average. And on the next slide we will discuss for gender empowerment index. Okay, let's go to the gender equality. So basically this strategy starting since for gender development, basically we inside our ratification, it was on 2000. We have president instruction regarding gender equality number 9 year 2000, and basically this is to achieve the gender equality through policy and programs that focus on the aspiration, experience, the needs, and the issue for women and women to be included in the planning process for all the process of program and policy in many aspects of life and also development sector. So next slide. So in the first point, so so for to have to draft this policy for national program from function and the role. So basically gender equality is basically strategy and new development. So this strategy will include it and integrate it to all sectors. So for example, in Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resource, so all the program and activities needs to include gender equality that are equal for both men and women. And next slide. So the focus is there are 2 points. Number one is the institutional of gender equality, and also the planning and budgeting for gender responsive. And we will discuss the gender equality institution that needs to fulfill 7 requirements. So the first aspect is commitment. So commitment is basically, so in the ministry and institution, there are ministry decree regarding gender equality. And meanwhile, on local level, the highest one is the regional decree regarding gender equality in local level. So we can see that the commitment from each ministry of institution on a local level regarding gender equality in terms of national and regional sector development and policy. So basically, this is gender integrated is included in national in working plan and strategy plan in local level. So in both plans, they have to include gender indicator for the sustainable development. And then the third aspect is for institutional of gender equality. So in this issue, we establish a peer working group for gender equality. So basically, they will monitor and assist the PUG strategy for national plan and national strategic plan and local strategic plan. And basically, this is to draft the plan work in ministry and institution. And number four is human resource. Human resource, there are two, human resource and budget. And for human resource is how we can create the planners who understand the planning and budgeting in terms of responsive to gender.
Baiklah.
Okay. So
Saya nggak tahu apa yang terjadi.
I don't know what happened,
Kita stuck di sini.
why we stop at this slide, why we stop. Okay. Please wait.
Oke, kayaknya
It
pembicara
seems
kita
that our speakers
sinyalnya, jadi kita
lost its signal, so we
kita
will
akan delay sampai
postpone, we will
Pak Sony
delay
kembali.
while waiting Pak Sony to rejoin us
Kita
again.
sudah
We
mendengarkan
already heard
tema
actually
pengalaman
some of the
Sony
presentation
tentang
from Pak Sony
kesan besar
regarding
bagaimana
big
pengerjaan
frame
gender
of
ini
how gender
terintegrasi
equality
di dalam
will be
proyek
integrated
sebenarnya
in
perencanaan
all
tingkat nasional.
planning on national level.
Kita sambil menunggu Pak Sony
While waiting for
kembali,
Pak Sony, maybe we can see now, we can go to the next speaker, the second speaker. We already see the global context on national level.
kita tadi
And then the last one, we also heard how Pak Sony talked there are 7 requirements for PUG. And Pak Sony also share regarding the commitment of policy, the institution, human resource, the data analysis tool, and all up to the social involvement. And we also heard Ibu Oce Landukara. She is one of the founder of Gender Focal Point.
Bu Oce akan
Ibu
memaparkan
Oce will share her presentation regarding gender equality in energy and the renewable energy sector by highlighting the project of desa in Sumba. And Bu Oce with the FP in Sumba will share their experience and their effort for women access for renewable energy through model village in East Sumba. And when we talk about commitment policy, it will be on smaller level, and
diterjemahkan ke tingkat kabupaten, bahkan sampai ke tingkat desa yang kita sebut desa model tadi. Terus bagaimana kelembagaan PUG-nya terbentuk dengan sumber daya manusianya dan anggarannya, lalu di situ digunakan alat analisis dan alat intervensi yang disebut dengan GALS atau Gender Action Learning for Sustainability, dan bagaimana peran serta masyarakat dalam hal ini teman-teman di Gender Focal Point, lalu di sana mengajak para champion dan para kader di sana. 20 menit untuk Bu Oce, lalu nanti kalau Pak Sony sudah kembali, kita akan melanjutkan dengan Pak Sony. Terima kasih, silakan Bu Oce.
Oke, baik Bu Intan, terima kasih untuk waktunya. Saya minta slide-nya ditampilkan. Slide-nya bukan punya saya.
That is not my slide.
Oke, sip.
All right. Thank you. I will explain related to the works done by GFP Humba Hammu in Sumba Island, East Sumba entity province. One of the activity done by the Humba Hammu Focal Point is to advocate to get access of clean energy through the renewable energy. Next. GFP Humba Hammu, the members are 8 organizations spread in 4 districts in the Sumba Island. Those are the champions who has expertise in the mainstreaming of gender and the relationship with social issues in the community, especially in the access to the renewable energy. Their role as advocates, facilitators, and trainers for the community and government. In the implementation, we use the GALS method, or Gender Action Learning for Sustainability. This is a method guided by the community done using the participatory uh, system. The members are men and women, if possible, couples or married couples. So the women and men beneficiaries will know how to make the decision together. With these methods, we try to change ourselves, share, integrate in various activities to improve the life of the community and the community. Yes, there are a number of tools: how to make plans, identify the gender relationship, and also how to identify the identicator of gender empowerment, both in the level of individual, family, and community, and how we make a business plan. Next, please. This is an overview of the Sumba women in the HIFO survey in 2010. In the activity process in the household, to cook, they need 4 hours per day, and they finish hours to gather woods and get home. They don't have enough time to rest compared to the men, and limited ability to be involved in other activities, and levels of division that limits their levels in the community. With the Sumba system, the women is not given role in making decision. Using the Gauss methods, there are 4 aspects. That is the obstacles for women itself. The first one is the women itself. They don't have the awareness of the situation and the awareness of their potentials and how they can empower themselves. And from the family aspects, they have a multi burden. So as of they wake up to they sleep again, their housework is more done by women. Next is the imbalance in making decision. Low level of education, because opportunity is given more to men, and women is more advanced. So in the ownership of business, they cannot give guarantees and loan, and women itself is still limited to access of information, price, and markets. And from the community aspect, okay, meetings are done when women are working in the farm. If the women are present in the meeting, they are given parts to handle the logistics. The requirements to be involved in the public position limits women. The women leadership is also lower. From these obstacles, we need to have a mainstreaming gender way, that is to improve the community capacity so that it can encourage women to have a power position to be involved in the renewable energy project in Sumba. Next is how to encourage the local government to give access, equal access to women and men for an economic development inclusive for the prosperity of the community. Next. To overcome these obstacles, GFP with the local government have designed a program called the Model Village Renewable Energy based on gender. This is to fulfill the needs of integrated of gender and renewable energy in Sumba with the expectation this will be a learning process by various parties. To encourage the village model of gender based on gender, we also receive support from a number of parties. such as the ministries, local government, and NGO for the development of model village. This is the process of the model village for the renewable energy based on gender. The first thing that we do uh, of this pilot village, we do a for 4 district, but from the 4 district, the one that high respond is in the East Sumba. So Desa Lukir was chosen in East Sumba as a pilot village of renewable energy based on gender. Determination of location involved also with our colleagues from BP2AK. And Lukuwingir is using the PLTMH as lightings. After this process, we do a gender assessment using the GALS methods, which involves the BAPEDA and BP3A P2KB. The result, we do a presentation which involves other OPDs. There we discuss and make an action plan what needs to be done to develop this model village. From this process, we did a workshop related to gender and energy and also launched the program. When we launched the program, it was also attended by the Ministries of Women Empowerment and Child Protection and Environment Ministry, and also from the Mineral Resources Ministry and other stakeholders. After this process, in this community level, we also do girls training and monitoring. Next, we do a workshop of developing of the umbrella and the training. And we agree that there will be a regent decree related to this for the development of model village up to the year 2021. After the draft of this decree, we do an audience with the regent. We explain about the progress of the decree and about this renewable energy. On the 21st of March 2019, the leadership was still with Mr. Dr. S.P. Biliora. He signed the decision which determined the Lukwingir as a model village based on gender. The next activity from the workshop, we designed a roadmap and indicator of model. All the stakeholders who has a commitment of the development of model village made a commitment in the form of program and activity that will be done in the Lukwingir village. And together we determine the indicators which will be used as reference to do monitoring and evaluation. In the level of community, we do a strengthening of the institution of village to all the village organization, and determining of forum, the forum of village development, which has the task to support the government of village. And also there's the development of the regulation that is gender and participative. And this is supported by the academicians in this village. Routine activity done here to see the work that has been done or to evaluate the work that has been done by the team. Every 3 months, we do a coordinating meeting between stakeholders involved in the development of village model in the form of the development of 5 units of biogas. So in Lukuwingir, there are 5 families using biogas. From this condition, can you continue please? Next slide. So from the process that has been done up to the condition now, the program achieved from those four aspects, for women itself, they have confidence and how they become the leader and have a bargaining position and efficiency in work and time, and health is also improved. In the family, they have also a division between men and women. The family health improved, communication and relation becomes better. In the business aspects, they also already have assets that can be used as a guarantee, and they have access to market, price, and technology, and they're also independent economic wise. In the community, they have access to the public service. They actively participated in village discussion or pusrembang, and they are women leaders. Next. From this process, we see that the minimum requirements for this program, there should be an umbrella regulation, not only in the district level, but also in the village level. And the leadership in the district, this should be collaborated with number of stakeholders. The institutional has to be strong, and the budget support, and there's also measurement to the success of this program. And from this process, we can see that the learning process is the involvement of the local government from the beginning is important so that they have the ownership feeling to this program. Bapada is also a focal point and a strength of the group of the program with the regulation developed, that is the SKGWT. So the program could be easier to be implemented. Leadership in the village is very responsive, is good to smooth the program. There's a number of instruments that can be used, but it requires a relevant instruments. And the girls method can be used to ensure the role of gender in the program. The importance of involvement of stakeholders from the government to improve the energy service in the village continuously. And the last one, collaboration with the education institution and academician is very important in the development of the program. Thank you. This is my presentation, and I will return it back now to you.
Terima kasih banyak, Ibu Oce.
Thank you, Ibu Oce. It was very interesting how this is done, and we listen to the result, the benefit, and the change. So it's no longer a concept or theory of mainstreaming of gender in the renewable energy, but it's already happening, and we have the result. Also, Mr. Soni mentioned about the 7 requirements of gender mainstreaming. So it's already happened in Ibu Oce's. All the 7, from the commitments, policy, and the role of the community occurring in a micro group, which is implemented, all of it, in this case, in the model village of Lukuingir. Thank you very much. We have listened to the experience in Pulau Sumba. Mr. Soni is back with us now. So we'll go back to Mr. Soni. After the 7 precondition, it was up to the resources. My apologies, I got cut off. Yeah, because our connection got cut off here. So I think I was in slide 12. Now it's the separated data based on sex, group, age, and area. This is important because, as mentioned by Ibu Oce, when we want to do an analysis, if we don't have a separated data, so we don't know the target and which gender gap that needs to be achieved. And for the analysis tool that has also been mentioned by Ibu Oce that we use in the ministry, we use gender analysis pathway, but we also use proba, that is problem-based analysis, and we also use SWOT. The last one is the role of the community, that is the involvement of the community institution, business, universities, and develop the women empowerment. The next slide. Next one is the planning of the responsive gender. There's two stages. Planning is formulated based on experience, aspiration, needs, potential, and the resolving of problems between women and men. And there's the gender analysis pathway. And the last one, and it's also in the stage of responsive gender. This is made through the planning process of the gender and the effort done by the government and also the policy done to answer the need of the community, both for men and women. Next slide, please. There are four aspects. The first one is access, is opportunity for men and women to achieve or get the resources of development. The next one is the participation for both men and women in the process of development. The next one is control, that is the ability of men and women to make decision that is beneficial for both. Next is the benefit, is the result felt by both men and women from the development process. What we see here is APKM, that is participation, control, and benefit. For the next slide, we will discuss about the integration of gender in the sector of renewable energy. Can you please continue? Why is women is needed? Because the size of the energy is needed in the processing of food and activities in the kitchen to do work that is normally not acknowledged. So many work is done by women and do small business and micro and follow the modernization. And the demand for the for both in the public to have knowledge on energy, especially renewable energy, because women has the potential to create a family pattern and form the characters of children. It's also depends of how good and how strong women have the knowledge, and also how far they are made. In the next slide, why is women needed? So we see the facts that there are 43% from the consumption of household energy, and women is also a important group in the policy of distribution and the use of energy. And on the 10th and 11th of 2011, the UNFCCC have used this action plan, that is to improve the capacity of women sharing information and the balance of gender and participation and leadership of women. And the third one is the coherence program with the program of UNFCCC. And the fourth one, implementation that is responsive and determining of the implementation tool. And the last one, monitoring and evaluation of the implementation of GAP. Next. Why do we use energy and renewable energy? Because it's energy is limited.
Energi tidak terbarukan juga
The non-renewable energy is also cause health issues in the world and pollution.
Kemudian 3 miliar perempuan di dunia
And 3 billion women does not have access to the clean and secure energy resources. And we are also using the fossil-based energy that is not safe. 40% of the energy consumption in Indonesia is sourced from the women in managing and processing food and other activities for the economy of the family. And then we'll also discuss about the effort to integrate the gender issue with the renewable energy sector. The first one, strengthening the institution of gender mainstreaming in the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. In all the activities in all directorate. And then promoting and the budget. Right now, the Directorate General of Energy would be the largest contributor for the budget of the public house and public building. Next, we also do a promotion of tagging budget for the energy issue. So through the promoting, we are doing a double tagging in the change of climate and gender, where one of it is the energy sector. The third effort is to develop a policy model and improve the community awareness through modeling of planning of village in East Sumba and also issue and development of domestic biogas. In the last slide,
ini kami akan menampilkan selanjutnya. Ini model pembangunan biogas.
So this is the model of the domestic biogas in the district of East Sumba in the village of Lukuwingir. This is how they synergize in the activity. So there are several documentation about the activity of the survey of location and also and we also do purchasing of materials and also building the biogas, checking the quality of the installation, training for users in the below picture on the right side. We also do a handover of biogas from the Ministry of Empowering Women to the local government of Lukuwingir village. I think this is all from me, Bu Intan. I will return it back to you. Thank you.
Tidak hanya juga bagaimana di tingkat kebijakan, tapi kita
you have given us a clear overview and also how the commitment. So it's touching directly in the change in the community, the involvement of the PPA ministry. So the 7 precondition was also fulfilled, and you also explained about how we talk about gender and the renewable energy. We've also heard about, from Ibu Oce how this is implemented and seen the result in the East Sumba. And actually there's a number of stories also in Sumba. Up to now, maybe we don't have the opportunity to share. Now we will move on to the South Sulawesi to see how, when we talk about commitment, we also talk about the role of the community. So it's also, they also have the users community, but we also see the business sector and the NGO, where how they collaborate to see further how gender and renewable energy can be integrated, so you can get maximum use. So we see this women on top, how the promotion of domestic biogas used by CPO. We will listen to Ms. Rosmiaty Lantara. She is the director of CPO, Sifiriski Abadi, who works in Jeneponto and Bantai in South Sulawesi. She will discuss about how Barihow and leadership in various bureau activity, both for promotion and lobbying to stakeholders. You have 15 minutes, Ibu Ona. Ibu Ona, you're still muted. Thank you. Peace be upon us. Good afternoon. Related to the theme today, strong women, climate crisis in the family, I would like to share about the Bureau program in 2 districts and also in general in South Sulawesi. We, as partner, Sifiriski Abadi, together with YRE for 5 years, we have developed around 235 units in 2 districts. And we are also the responsible party or development party. We have several stages that we do, especially in the introducing of this program. We do this apart from the government, also with private sectors, and also how we promote or introduce independently to the society. That is our approach to sell or to promote this Biru program to other stakeholders. The stages, okay, next slide please. So as CPO, we are also responsible for the stages. So there's the disseminating of the program, both the government and the private sector and independent. After we disseminate the information, we also do a survey, field survey for the candidate to receive it. We also see the role of women there because when we do a survey, there's a format called the pre-construction in the manual form. There's 2 models. But before we do a development from the candidate user and the developer, in this case, the involvement of the role of men and women to determine the spot of the biogas some are signed together, and we also do a building of the reactor of the biogas. I won't discuss a lot about what's mentioned by Ibu Ocha, because normally the involvement of women is only in logistic in the development. Our responsibility is to give training to the user. In the user training, we stress the fact that those who are present better to be men and women, because then we will explain about how to maintain and use the waste of biogas or bioslurry, and how the bioslurry, there's also opportunity to improve their economy. And we also do a monitoring that is used in 2 development phase. Bureau program also explained that our program is encourage the involvement of women in the renewable energy. As mentioned by Mr. Sony, the Biru program, at least 30% of it is about how we encourage the participation of women, especially in the involvement of making decision and ensuring it. And the next point, this program also gives space to join trainings in capacity building related to biogas, and Biru program also give access to improve the family economy in using bioslurry as an opportunity for the family. During the training to the users, in the introduction, we explained that this Biru program in the sustainability of the support to the reactor of biogas, there should be a division of work. I only present 4, and out of the 4, there's the cleaning of the space normally done by the women, and maintenance of the tool normally is also done by the women. So there's often I receive a call saying that my stove is broken. Yeah. And the last one is about the using the bioslurry. We, in the last 2 months, have done effort to develop the bioslurry business in the village of Jeneponto. We have achieved to made a product who is currently processing the permits to distribute it. And now we are in the stage in the Ministry of Agriculture to distribute it. But the division of work is very conditional. As mentioned by Ibu Oce, I was really impressed with Ibu Oce when she mentioned that there's a problem between the equality of men and women is no difference with what is occurring in South Sulawesi, where male is normally made as the decision maker. And the inequality of gender due to the ability of men and women in accessing the resources, information, and decision-making policy. So these are issues that is shown in our activity here. Next slide, please. We, as partner, we give space for YRE. Thank you to all the teachers, Ibu Intan, who has given her knowledge to us as the partner of Biru program and giving a TOT to learn the methodology of pulse based on gender. So in Sumba about girls, in South Sulawesi, this methodology is based on 3 elements: the management of the perumah sosial and a responsible design product. This fast given methodology for partnership between client and user, and the provider of the financial service that can ensure a number of things, including marketing of the biogas program. Before I end my presentation, I would like to ask, ladies and gentlemen, how we guard our world as an effort to stop the global issues, global warming issues. Thank you for your attention. Peace be upon us. Thank you. Thank you for your story from South Sulawesi. So we've heard interesting stories, and this made us very optimistic that what we do can contribute based on the presentation. We have stories that the gender indicator is lower than the average in Indonesia. But we know that there are a number of parties that worked really hard to change the situation, to make it a better equal gender through this renewable energy. We've also heard several aspects from the ministerial level and how it's implemented in the village, and how the role of gender focal point, NGOs, and also business, in this case CPO. But we would also like to listen as a community itself when discussed about the experience. We will listen through the female farmers from East Java. This is very interesting. When we talk about farmers, what we imagine is normally male, right? It's not common. We see for women farmers. Now we see a young one, a young woman. Let's call her Miss Benua Antartika, as a user of biogas in East Java. So how do you feel as a woman, a young woman? What are your challenges in using biogas? Thank you, Ibu Intan. Peace be upon us. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Rahayu for all participants here.
Jadi saya ingin men-share tidak banyak tulisan yang berada di PowerPoint saya, hanya beberapa foto yang saya tampilkan.
I only make several photos as a presentation.
Jadi ini mungkin kalau dilihat itu saya bukan pencitraan. Jadi memang keseharian saya itu ya.
I'm not trying to create image, but as a farmer, this is what we do. We look for grasses. So when we talk about gender equality, we see there's a lot of women farmers. So it's common for me to see it. I see my neighbors looking for grasses related to farming. Most of the time, women are more active. And I also give with Tech Growth to give information or counseling related to farming. Apart from that, what they don't understand is how we can make the village is interesting. So I try to be a figure. If I don't do it myself, it won't be interesting to be told to others. So I tell what I do every day. So all the young people who study in that city will go back to their villages. Next slide, please. Okay, my parents are farmers. So this is my farm, which the capacity for 20 kettles. And with biogas and the size of 24-meter cubic. So there are about 33 meter cubics for, so bioslurry, we use it for the grass. We use it as a fertilizer for the grasses. So when we see it in the grounds, the role for women is about, okay, there's actually an interesting thing that I see, which can be a social experiment, that it turns out if we do counseling, the audience is more interested when the counselor is female. So it's needed. When I discuss with my colleagues, in the agriculture and farming world, women is needed as counselors to make it interesting, because we see it in a visually. Because for the stall issues, even the manager is female. So a woman is the manager in the stalls. So there needs a collaboration for several YouTube channels, how I can share this. So for biogas, it has been 10 years. Yeah. In my own stalls, you can call us as the pioneer of biogas. So before the Biru program, we tried to understand about biogas. I don't know why my dad got it. So biogas, does it really help? So we can we no longer, women know how to use the regulators and all. And also how to, the waste management, we also know about it. So to minimize the use of this slurry, it's very beneficial. So actually for 5 kettles, we need 5 hectares. So it's useful. issue is, I'm sorry, but the source of the audio is not clear. Sometimes some people don't have the space for grass. If we can convert all to rupiah, normally it would be more interesting. So maybe there's an intervention how bioslurry can be sold, and we make an organization, but it's impossible for me to do it myself. So in the future, the bioslurry is no longer waste. Next slide, please. As the experience of biogas, as my experience as a farmer, there's several villages who wants to be a tourism village. And I will also share the life of farmers. They must be able to do it because I can do it. If we have friends who needs support to access biogas and to develop in their community, I'm sorry, the source is not clear. Even though I'm just an ordinary user of biogas, yeah, I like to share my experience through social media and others.
Oke, Mbak Benua, ini
Miss Benua, have you finished? Because, sorry, your audio. Okay, you're done. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you.
Walaupun suara dari
So, even though the voice of Miss Benua is,
gangguan-gangguan dari
there's some external background sound that is disturbing. Yeah, there's a renovation in my office. I'm sorry. I see. Okay, that's why there's noise. But I hope all of you, ladies and gentlemen, can listen clearly, can capture the point of Miss Benua. And I think the story of Miss Benua is very cool, even though I tried very hard to listen. But your story was great. I was stunned because the image of the community of farmers in the ground is actually the other way around. There are a lot of female farmers. And Ms. Benua also told us how community is more interested or prefer to have a female counselor. This is something that we need to pay attention to. So we have listened to a number of experience. I hope you have listened and make note, and maybe you have comments or questions to the speakers. It's already mentioned in the chat how you can ask those other format. You can write it in our chat box. While waiting, questions from our participants, I will start. There are several things that I think is interesting. Very brief question for Kak Oce. as GFP. Okay, the gender focal point in Sumba. My question, so model village in Lukuwingir is interesting and the success is documented. If I may ask, what's your next plan from GFP? After you have advocacy and success. That's the question for Kauche. Maybe you can answer it first and then we will move on to the next question.
Baik Kak Intan.
Okay, so I will follow up what will be done by JFP related to the model village of Lukuwingir as a pilot project. We will do replication to other villages. And we had the opportunity to do assessment in 3 villages because Lukuwingir is in the hill slope. So we have replicated in 3 villages and there are also uses of renewable energy. In Sumba Timur?
Dan ini
Yes.
juga hasil diskusi kami dengan teman-teman dari Bapeda. Jadi kami selalu melibatkan Bapeda dan BP3.
We involve BP3 and BP2 AKB related to the follow-up that we will do after our presentation in Lukuwingir village. So GFP has the same role as in Lukuwingir or different role? No, we still have the same role like in Lukuwingir. And in Mentari program itself, in Central Sumba, we also participated in the process of capacity strengthening for the community in Central Sumba. Maybe you can explain about the 3 model that will be replicated. So what is the form of the renewable energy? Is it biogas or others? In the 3 villages that we did assessment, the renewable energy is PLTS, centralized PLTS. But the condition, the PLTS is not active temporarily, so we cannot follow up the result of our assessment because our point is the existence of energy, renewable energy. Thank you, Boche. We will go back to the next question. I will now go to Mr. Sony. You mentioned about budget taking. So how is it done, the coordination between line ministries? How is this implemented? Especially with the related ministry related to environment and the energy resource, mineral resources. And the next one, you mentioned the public house and public work and public housing, and also the mineral resources, right? But you haven't used the GPS, right? Why? And how do they submit their RG?
Baik, terima kasih Ibu Intan.
Thank you, Ibu Intan.
Memang mengenai budget tagging ini, Bu.
Related to budget taking,
Gender dan energi.
so we have the budget for gender and energy. Related to gender, in the national level, in the ministry level, so the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Bappenas Ministry, they will coordinate the tagging of budget based on gender and will be included in Kresna. The proof will be issued called gender budget statement and the TOR will be presented in Kresna. For this stage, we are promoting the double tagging. So we are coordinating with the Ministry of Finance and Bappenas for the double taking process.
proses double tagging ini. Dan kemudian
And then
mengenai kementerian lembaga yang
the
menyumbangkan
institutionalized ministry,
melalui proses
they actually have a budget, but not through the process of GAP and GBS.
salah satu persyaratan dalam
So one of the requirements
melaporkan bahwa anggaran
to inform that the
melalui statement.
budget is through the general budget statement.
Karena tadi yang saya informasikan
But
bahwa
since, as I informed earlier, that one of the precondition
sumber daya
is the resources, that is the human resources.
betul tahu bahwa ini
So we actually
mengikis kesenjangan.
know that this is to reduce gap between men and women,
Mereka belum melakukan analisa mengenai
but they haven't done any analysis on gender. But they know that this budget is an ARG.
pendampingan kepada
And we also do
program kegiatan apa
monitoring through the program and activity that can reduce the gap within gender.
Terima kasih Pak Sony. Itu menarik sekali ya bagaimana.
So this is very interesting,
pakai analisis
where there is ARG without analysis of BAP.
tidak menggunakan GAP-nya gitu ya.
So maybe you're not using the GAP. Yeah, it can be GAP, it can be PROBA.
Lalu kalau boleh sedikit Pak Sony, tadi Pak Sony bilang yang sekarang disosialisasikan adalah
So what is the one socialized is the double taking.
Kalau yang sebelumnya kan kita masih satu-satu ya Bu ya. Ada anggaran sendiri.
So in the past we have separate budgets, right? Budget for gender, budget for energy. So we hope in the future we can do a double tagging
Perubahan iklim dan juga
in the change of climate,
karena PUG itu masuk ke dalam
because PUG is included in all sectors of development. So we can also include the gender
tagging energi, bisa tagging
in both in the tagging of energy. So it's integrated, right? The PUG is integrated. So it's no longer separated. Yes, that's right. Yes, I'm also happy to see how this country started to plan a PUG that is mainstreaming. So it's no longer separated. But we still have a lot of homework, right? Yeah, that's true.
Satu pertanyaan lagi Pak Sony.
One more question.
Saya lupa itu judulnya apa, tapi yang
I forgot the title, but the tables where you see Indonesia, the green color, and there are several provinces that is above average, but more provinces above average. Is that gender indicators? It's called indicator genders. Gender Development Index. Because from our colleagues, Ibu Oce, Benua, are from the provinces where they are, if I'm not mistaken, below the average. Right? National average, yes. Especially East Java, compared to others, they are lower than NTT and South Sulawesi. So if I may know, what is the most significant indicator? I'm sorry, your line was cut off. So, are you still with me, Pak Sony?
Untuk indikator tadi, indikatornya yang paling
For the indicators, what is the most significant indicators? For example, in East Java is the lowest compared to NTT and South Sulawesi. So when we work on the ground, we know that the number will not be the lowest. When we see the development index, the men development index and women development index, there are several components: the life age and education. So all of these has to be equivalent. The weakness, what we see is from the economic side. Why the disparity of male and female is still high. As I explained in my previous presentation, women are still doing work that cannot be valued the economy.
Oke, terima kasih. Unpaid workers-nya itu yang
So
menyumbang
called
bagian
unpaid
besar.
workers.
Kita kalau
Yeah, so unpaid workers
itu
is the one contributing in the gap.
ekonomi tapi bukan
Yes.
tax money, itu tidak
So
terhitung.
it's actually contributing
Ini sedikit
to account but not calculated.
jadi catatan juga untuk
So this can also be a note to all of us
kalau kita bicara di isu
that
energi
when we
terbarukan dan
talk about the renewable energy and economy,
ekonomi
sometimes the economic activity that we meet for women is economic activity but not noted, and most of the time unpaid, maybe paid but not seen. I think that's it from now for now, Mr. Sony. I will maybe go back to Mr. Sony if we have other questions. Now I will go to Kak Benua. Very interesting, Kak Benua, as a very young woman. You have many roles, even as counselors. I want to know, are there other young women who are interested to work in the biogas sector and become a farmer? Do you have a specific strategy to invite other young women? Thank you.
Oke. Jadi kalau saya rasa sih Bu, sekarang kan dunianya sudah dunia media sosial. Jadi memang
So
sebenarnya
as you
jadi
said,
pendidik
now we
saya itu
have
sosmed.
the
Jadi itu
social
saya
media
capek membuat
world.
gerakan
So
masyarakat
that's why
tersebar di
everything
mana-mana.
I do, I
Jadi
post it in the social
saya
media.
buat bahwa apabila
So I
saya
make it,
waktu di lahan saya
for
foto,
example, like when
itu
I'm on the
hanya
field, I
tentu
make a
saja itu
picture.
bukan menjadi hal yang
It's
memalukan gitu loh untuk
it's
menjadi
not,
petani dan
I just want to show that it's
saya
not
rasa
embarrassing to be a
kita
farmer
harus
and a
mengubah sebuah
breeder.
stigma dulu
So
bahwa
first of
petani
all,
dan
how
buruh
to
itu lebih
turn
layak
the
untuk
stigma
dipekerjakan
first,
karena saya juga pernah
that
harus bersekolah
you
di
can be proud to be a
pedesaan gitu.
farmer, because I
Jadi
also have to
saya
study
merasa bahwa
in the city.
apabila
That's
orang tua
the
saya
public
seorang petani,
opinion. Like,
seorang
like for
peternak,
example, when your
membayangkan
father is a farmer,
orang tuamu petani, nanti
they always
bagaimana
think that
pernyataanmu
your
di depan
parents
Tuhan
are
kalau
farmer.
pernyataan adalah doa loh. Orang tuamu
Uh,
kan petani, kenapa
but be careful with what you say.
jadi
Then I
kalau
said,
stigma itu
why?
yang
What's wrong with
masyarakat
being a
sendiri yang membuat
farmer?
bahwa
So it's
petani dan buruh itu
actually
tidak
the public's opinion
diperhitungkan. Jadi
that
memang beberapa
a farmer is
memiliki
not
beberapa
something that
komunitas. Jadi memang banyak sekali sebenarnya
contributes to the economy.
pemuda yang memang sudah
So to all those young people who
pertanian
has
dan sebagainya.
worked a lot in the
Belum
farming
banyak
world,
apa
maybe it's not
komunitasnya
seen
gitu.
yet
Kalau di
where the
media sosial
community,
sebenarnya
but
banyak
in the social
perempuan
media we can see that
peternak
there's
yang
a
menjadi
lot of
influencer di Facebook, di YouTube
Indonesian
channel saya
women
terjangkau gitu.
farmers.
Apakah
I
saya
see a
pantas
lot
gitu
in
bukan
YouTube, in
obsesi
farmers.
untuk menjadi influencer gitu. Jadi saya
I'm
rasa
not obsessed to be an
penting ya
influencer,
kalau memang
but I
ini
just see like, why not?
positif bagi teman-teman
Because
dan
it's
mereka
a
belajar
positive
bahwa
thing. If
petani
people
itu hebat,
uh,
itu hebat.
what likes to
Jadi saya rasa
show
apabila mereka mau
and
menjadi
say that
petani
farmers and breeders
dan
are
ingin
great.
menjadi
So if
petani
they want
bersama-sama,
to go
saya
back
rasa
to their
itu
villages and build their villages again, that's
jadi
good
kenapa
and it's
di
possible to
sosmed
do.
kita ya bermainnya di
And if we
sosmed
have social media, you
kita
can
sudah
promote it in social media.
gitu. Jadi kalau banyak banyak sekali di sini entah
So
background pendidikannya apa,
whatever
tapi
education
mereka
background,
piawai untuk
they
mengerjakan
are
kerja di lahan,
capable to
petani
work
gitu.
in the
Mereka
field
mengerti.
for
Jadi memang kalau
biogas.
saya kalau sekarang ngobrol kalau kita omongkan
So
banyak nggak sih
during this
petani
lockdown, when we talk about, do we have a lot? Yeah, but maybe not
di follow up
see, not follow up yet.
Keren ya, keren. Jadi
Cool.
strateginya namanya
So the strategy, because you're young people, so you use strategies that are used by young people. In this case, you use the social media, because I think most young people now use social media. Okay, I'm still curious, Kak Benua. You mentioned that your cattle's, you have different stalls with your mom. So I'm curious, is there a difference in ways and results, the one done by millennials and the previous generation? Maybe the farming strategy or management of the biogas. And the result, is it the same or not? For the management of biogas, is the processing of biogas is the same. But when we talk about innovation, because now we are below Nestle, when Nestle shows an innovation, my mom's stall would take a long time. With me, I can adapt with the program from Nestle in a month. But in my mom's stall, it takes a long time to convince her, like maybe years, because the old people will say, like, based on my great great grandparents' advice, this is how we do farming. So to change their way is a challenge. And from a number of farmers, my mom is the one that is most difficult to be given counseling. Uh, Up to now, for the development of biogas reactors, normally I am the one who handles it, and to give counseling. It's not formal, but yeah, we just discuss, for example, like, do you have biogas, sir? My stall has biogas, so it's nice. So it's not a formal one. Uh, our challenge is not being heard. For example, like, yeah, because you're still young, so you're not experienced. Okay, so we're talking about the gap between generation and innovation. So the older generation takes longer time and difficult to take advice from younger ones. So it's not only young, but women. Is there any challenges related to sex, like male or female? So before we discuss about the generation between the senior one, is there any difference between men and women? When we talk about difference between male farmers and female farmers, the difference is the power. A male can carry like certain kilos of grass. In my areas is hills, so uh, the most women, they are afraid to like go motorcycles in the slope areas, but there are some. But does that have an impact to the result, or actually create more innovation in the women to, especially to face those challenges? Yes, we create. There are innovations. So for in certain areas, especially me as a supplier for the green stuff. So for those women who has to handle a number of kettles, but they cannot have access to the land, I will supply the grass to them. So they just come and buy. So the male can do other activities and the women can handle it. So it seems that the women are not doing anything, but we are managers in our own stores. But people would normally see the father or the male, not the wife. Yeah. So that's why the development index is maybe is caused because women not seen, but actually she's the manager from the store, but maybe not calculated. One last question from me for still Miss Benua. You mentioned about how bioslurry is used to fertilize the grass that will be fed to the cows, to the cattle, which requires no up to 2 hectares. In my head is the climate change, because it's common that the cattle is one of the contributors of the climate change and related to the availability of grass. So that was the result. So You, as a young woman with a number of innovations and using bioslurry, how do you reduce the impact of cow farming from the change of climate?
perubahan iklim. Jadi memang
Okay,
petani
related
sendiri
to change of
dengan
climate,
kotoran sapi perah itu kan penyumbang emisi
especially
cukup besar
for
ya.
the
Jadi
waste
memang
of the
biogas ini memang
cattles
sangat
are large
bisa
contributors to, to emission.
masalah perubahan iklim tadi
But
karena
when
itu
we talk
kalau
about
saya
the
tanya
climate
orang-orang kayak
change
masa bodoh apa sih
to the
perubahan iklim
farmers,
itu
they always say
yang
it's
untuk
nonsense because
manusia
they don't
gitu.
know.
Tapi
It's
kadang
none of their
kalau
business.
memberikan
But when we talk about
bukan benefit tapi profit pada peternak jadi bisa
profit
menghemat
to
berapa
the farmers,
sekian
that they
rupiah
can
itu dalam
save
5
certain
hari
rupiahs,
peternak.
that would be more
Jadi
interesting for the
yang
farmers.
bisa dilakukan peternak memang untuk
So what can be done by the
sistem ini ya tetap
farmers?
untuk reaktor biogas itu bisa per masing-masing kandang itu punya
Uh,
gitu. Memang ada
Each
sebagian
stalls is
kandang-kandang itu
okay.
memang belum punya dan ada juga yang belum mengerti seberapa
Some still
sebenarnya
don't
mereka
know
kandangnya sapinya banyak tapi
before
reaktornya
they
kecil
have a lot
misalnya
of
ada yang sapinya 10
cows, but
mereka
the
cuma
reactor
nanam
is
sapinya
small. For
kurang
example,
besar
like 6
padahal mereka
cubics.
bisa
That's
menambah
actually way
besar
low.
gitu.
They
Jadi memang
should have more.
informasi
So to
apa yang
inform
bisa
them
mereka lakukan dan
what they can do,
gas-gas itu bisa
that
disalurkan ke
this gas can be
rumah-rumah lain
distributed
itu
to
bisa
other
bagus kalau memang
houses.
masalah profit itu kan bisa
That's when we talk
lebih
about
menarik
profit,
bagi
that
peternak
would be
lain
more
mungkin untuk
important.
dari kami mungkin
So from
inovasi
us,
untuk pembangunan reaktor biogas itu
the
bisa
development of the
juga
reactor of
ada untuk
gas,
penanaman pohon jadi pohon-pohon
so
yang
for
memang melindungi
the
bangsa yang
development of
bisa
the trees
ya selain sebagai pakan sebagai
as
makanan juga
fed,
dapat sebagai apa ya
as fed for the
mengurangi
kettles, it can
untuk
also be
perubahan iklim
used
ini lah
to
untuk
reduce
menanggulangi
the climate change.
seperti itu.
Terima kasih Kak Benua.
Thank you, Miss Benua.
Yang sangat menarik lagi tadi kita dengarkan dari Kak Benua dan juga bagaimana tantangannya juga ya.
And also the challenges. We still have a lot of work, even though we see the number of achievements. Before I move back to Ibu Ona, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, please type it in the chat box. We're still waiting for your questions. I will now move to Ibu Ana. As the director of CPO, I normally know CPO. CPO are normally males, the staff. So I want to ask, as a female CPO, what are the challenges you face when you're doing promotion and advocacy in the biogas sector? Next question, mentioned by Kak Benua, when the counselor is women, it's more interesting. More women are more interested when the counselor are women. Based on your experience compared to the others.
Baik, terima kasih Ibu atas pertanyaannya. Ya, sebenarnya selaku
Actually, I won't say that I'm a director because the director of Rizky Abadi is my little brother or sister. I'm just the implementing director related to the biogas program. But as a manager, especially in the Biru program, that is related to the challenges, to how to promote and how to be the leader, I can say that before I was the partner of YRA, I see the challenges that we receive. It's not something that I felt every day, and maybe not identified as a developer partners in the program itself. Normally is in budgeting in the program. related to the role of the government
itu menjadi sesuatu yang bagaimana menyampaikan kepada
has made us to the users and to the community that this program is called the partnership with the government.
yang menjadi sesuatu tantangan bagi saya untuk bagaimana nantinya saya
My challenge is how I, as a partner, communicated well, especially between sectors, to together implement the policy and regulation from the government related to the biogas. Also related to the pandemic, it doesn't really show in the villages. The activities are still done as usual. And I just want to stress that in the among sectors in the government and the provinces and districts, we can strengthen each other, especially in the policy related to biogas. We have informed a number of information to the community about the flow, the role of stakeholders and community, and us as developer. And us as a CPO, and we also have a number of team. We have supervisors also in our team. One of the challenges I experience is the commitment of some of my staff to this program, because once we already have given our capacity on how to build well, and we invite people to do expansion, this made us as the program manager, especially in the expansion to other areas, it can be a problem. But again, as the leader of CPO, is how I build the good relationship between I and my team. For your information, CPO Rizky Abadi has done expansion apart from the existing area. Related to my team, there are a number who doesn't want to leave, but with a good communication, but with this team, we have the same target so that this biogas program can go well based on the plans from Rizky Abadi. So that is the challenges and our approach in facing it. Okay, thank you. Sorry, related to the experience of Ibu Benua, I also have experience where the GPS in the field, especially in the district of Banpain. So it's different between the male and female. I see that in the PPN Bantaeng, we have one of the participants, Ibu Bantai Nur. She is very communicative with us related to how to pass on messages to her group. If we see the differences, so the care, the attention, and how she disseminate the information, I can feel the difference that a woman can be can pass on the message and give a better counseling. Okay. That's all from me. As per what mentioned by Ms. Benua. Yeah, so that's the homework to make it more interesting. So, Ibu Ana, so Rizky Abadi have expanded in the South Sulawesi, right? One last question, Ibu Ana. I'm curious, when you talk about promotion of biogas, you mentioned there are a number of requirements that people can then request for a biogas to build. So let's say I go to the poor areas who needs clean energy, in this case, clean energy to cook that is renewable, let's say biogas. But the case, the household where the woman is the head of the family, so it means there's no adult male. But when we talk about biogas, there's like cattle, there's other works, and which is known, as you mentioned, to be the work of a male. And then this person, this family is poor, so does not have any subsidies, even also in energy, in resources. Uh, while as you mentioned, to use the woods, it creates pollution and it takes time to collect the woods. In my imagination, there's not only one family like this. So how do you promote to this kind of family? What is your proposed solution? As you mentioned, because we're in the South Sulawesi, is the Rose area. What the information we disseminate is the requirements to build the reactor of biogas. There are experiences in the Emirasa village. There's a female, there's a woman who does not have any stall and any kettles, or she has one but a traditional stall, and she was with her grandchild and niece or nephew. They are ready and are willing to the pre-existing condition, to the precondition. So in the second year, when we monitored her, sorry, the second monitoring in the third year, it showed, why don't you continue this building? While during the development, you have promised to do so. So that's what I do a special approach for that kind of situation. So how I involve the families surrounding this family, because the woman is this female is also sick. So if let's say she's incapable to continue, we can move it to another household because of her health condition. So she's unable to continue. That's one of our way. And related to what you mentioned about the continuation, the strategy to promote this to those who does not have any economic capacity or does not have the capacity. So in the subsidy program, it doesn't mean that you don't have the money, but it's your willingness. And you and your family are ready,
kita bisa memaklumi itu, Ibu. Tetapi kalau memang tidak, karena
But
ini adalah
if not,
juga tanggung jawab moral kami selaku
because
duta,
this is also our moral obligation
dalam
as a
hal
partner,
menjalankan itu dengan baik,
when it doesn't
dikarenakan oleh
continue
kesalahan awal dari kami.
because of our own mistake. So that's why for
Calon user kita itu benar-benar
determining our candidate of user candidate,
menginginkan pemahaman, menginginkan
we need to
pengertian,
give a clear understanding.
minta tolong mungkin ada yang lain. Karena kita ada
If
dugaan
they're not willing, then maybe we can ask them, maybe you can recommend your neighbors, because we also have a group
ya,
approach.
tapi tidak semua ya, tidak semua di daerah kami. Itu adalah
It's not
dibantu
all
oleh
in our area like
yang
that.
sangat bersyukur sekali itu kita belum dapatkan dari 50 user kami. Tapi di Bantaeng itu ada 2-3 lah ya.
So there are
Dan dengan apa ya, dia ada kecewa
2 or 3.
tetapi lagi-lagi kita menyampaikan bahwa ini adalah bantuan. Saat
So
itu juga
we try to explain that this is assistance from the
ya, dari
national budget.
itu Ibu Intan yang saya
Terima
bisa
kasih,
share.
Bu
Okay.
Ana.
Thank you, Ibu Ana.
Tentu ya kita juga nggak bisa pendekatannya
So
hanya pada orang per orang, tapi kita
our approach
juga dalam
is
hal
not
ini
only
keluarga,
individual but also family and also community. So there would be solidarity and collaboration to get the clean energy. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So it's now 11:50. Before I close, I would like to ask each speaker to give a closing statement, just one sentence or at the most 2 sentences as closing. I will start from Miss Benua, Miss Ona, Miss Oche, and Mr. Sony. Okay, Miss Benua, can you give your closing statement, 1 or maximum 2 sentences?
Jadi untuk closing statement,
So as a closing statement,
yang saya bicarakan adalah untuk memulai memang tidak mudah, segala sesuatu
it's
itu
not
memang
easy
tidak
to start,
namun itu masih mungkin untuk bisa kita lakukan. Jadi
but
untuk
it's still
itu
possible
memang kita
for us
bisa.
to do
Jadi
it.
untuk segala hal itu memang kita harus
In everything,
mencobanya gitu meskipun
we
itu
have to
sulit.
try first.
Terima kasih Kak Benua. Segala sesuatu
Thank you, Kak Benua. Everything is possible even though not easy.
Ada closing statement apa, Bu Ana?
Ibu Ona,
Kalau bukan kita yang menjaga,
if it's not us who maintain it, who else? If it is not now, when?
Bu Ana, kalau bukan
Thank you, Ms. Ona. If it is not us, who else? If it's not now, when? Thank you, Bu Oce. Next.
silakan Kak Oce.
Kak Oce,
Kak Oce ada nggak ini masih?
are you still with us? Yes.
Oke. Closing statement
My
saya,
closing statement,
bagaimana kita mendorong perempuan untuk
how we encourage women to be more empowered.
Bagaimana kita mendorong perempuan
Okay.
supaya
How we encourage women to be more empowered.
Sony sekarang.
Thank you, Mr. Sony.
Esensi kesetaraan gender adalah kesetaraan
Gender
antara
equality
laki-laki dan
is just
Itu
in
terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Pak.
equality
Kata saya,
between male and
kesetaraan
female.
gender bagi
Okay.
perempuan dan laki-laki. Saya rasa closing statement
I
dari
think
pembicara
the
sudah
closing statements
semuanya dan
has
juga
summarized
kita
everything and
ingatkan
strong.
kembali bahwa perubahan itu mencapai keadilan dan
So the change to
bagi
achieve
perempuan dan
the
laki-laki.
gender equality for male and female
Mendorong
is
pemberdayaan
required
perempuan
in
dimulai
the
dari
women
diri
empowerment,
sendiri.
starting
Saat
from
ini dan
ourselves,
di sini.
now,
Bukan lagi,
here, and
walaupun
when
ada
else.
kendala dan
Even
tantangan
though there's
harus
challenges, we have
Ibu
to
dan
start.
Bapak sekalian, untuk
Ladies and
mengakhiri
gentlemen,
sesi ini,
to end this
kita
session,
akan foto bersama
we
antara
will take
pembicara dan
a
juga
picture
semua peserta.
between
Sebelum
the
kita
speakers
semua
and
bisa
all
membuka
participants.
videonya,
Please
mudah-mudahan
open your screen so you can be
tampang-tampang
seen.
cantik dan
I
ganteng-gantengnya.
can see your beautiful and handsome
Silakan.
faces.
Nanti teman-teman dari
And
Global akan membantu untuk mengambil
our colleagues from Bahasa Global will support us in
videonya.
taking
Bisa
picture.
dibuka.
Those who have not turned on their video, please turn it on.
Mari kita tunjukkan
Let us
kecantikan dan kegantengan
show
bersama.
our beautiful and handsome faces. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, untuk Okay. The photo will be taken in 3, 2, 1.
Sekali lagi Kak.
One more time. 3, 2, 1.
Baik, terima kasih.
Thank
Terima
you.
kasih semua Ibu dan
Thank you
Bapak
all,
yang sudah dengan
Baik,
setia.
terima kasih Bapak Ibu.
ladies and gentlemen.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Peace be upon us. Salam sejahtera. Om Swastiastu. Rahayu. We'll meet again in other opportunity. Hopefully what we have started can make us more empowered and be more useful. Thank you. See you again.